Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley simply began entering random codes into the keypad, knowing full well the sheer statistical unlikelihood that this would ever result in a correct combination. If he knew that the combo was 2845, it would be another story entirely. But no, this is what he was going to do instead. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. "2845. Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself, and Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Okay. I can't see shit. It's starting to get really, like, kind of scary or dark. Think about it. You know what I mean? Like, why would your boss have a fucking elevator that goes to the abyss?
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word Escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Let's see how this death is.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Yeah.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Oh no.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
What?
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Got a point.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
The set of two-doorway was the very first piece of Stanley Parable design. Once this room was created, the rest of the game emerged as an extension of it, an exploration of the contradiction this room posed. You guys might be reading it faster, but I read pretty slow, so you can kind of go with this. The pacing of the opening section was important to get right. The corridor had been moved and altered to make sure players reached the two doors in a good time. Office to the two doors was the first part of the game that was built. Section have been added and altered throughout development, though the core layout remained almost identical to the first interaction. Okay. Stanley's computer. Alright, I think I'm in the archives. Office. Filing cabinet. Office computer. Button sound. A selection of sounds used throughout the game when buttons are pressed. Each sound is a mix of a keyboard stroke and a synthesized tone. Okay. These are the credits. In early versions of the maintenance room. Wow. This is all like the art part of the game. I think I'm at the ending, so this is good. Let's just hope I made good time with it though. Boss office scenes from development of the boss office. Oh, that's nice. Office clocks. They all have different times for some reason. Employees lounge underground. So that's what the escape looked like. They changed it.
Perfect example of poor level design, textbook mistake. It's the kind of thing you pick up on intuitively if you had even the most fundamental understanding of good and bad game design. But of course, you being you will probably spend the next hour trying to solve it. Here, I'm just going to make this easier. Sure, we'll get him right back on track to where he was supposed to be in the story. When Stanley came to the lift, he traveled upward to the power source at the top of the facility to end this injustice.
Alrighty. I could barely hear him either, so I don't know if you guys are having trouble hearing him, but yeah. Freedom ending. This was the very first incarnation of freedom ending in the game alpha. One desk from an early version of the countdown ending. Freedom ending. Zending. The screenshot depicts an early version of the ending known as Zending, which was eventually cut and merged with another part of the game. These levers were originally a part of the Zending. The player would pull a lever, and it would describe what color lever they had pulled. This game is now paused. Escape menu. For a long time, we had an ending that only ended when the player restarted from the escape menu. Unfortunately, very few players realized this was what they were supposed to do, which was frustrating for everyone. There's escape menu? What the fuck? But I gotta go over here and see more stuff that I missed. We ran 4 major teaser trailers over the course of the game development, which meant to convey something about the spirit of the game. These trailers have absolutely nothing to do with the damn game. Alrighty. Wow, that says exit on it.